Alright, welcome back. So let's quickly learn different ways of writing functions before we move so far, so that we won't get confused along the line. We have like 3 or 4 different ways of writing functions in JavaScript, and the very first one is function declaration. So when we're talking of function declaration, in function declaration, it's actually this is the traditional method of defining a function. It is such a way that you first of all call the keyword function, which is what we have here. After you have called the keyword function, then you write your function name. So I just gave it this name. You can use any name, my function, and then you open your parenthesis where you are going to write in your parameters. Then you open your code of block. So for function declaration, the function keyword is the first thing you're going to see. So after doing that, you have this, you have that. Then in your inside your curly brace, whatever you want, that is where you're going to put your code. So we input the parameter a and b, so we have 2 parameters here. And what do we want function to do for? We say it should return a plus b. So this is what we want it to do. Now we need to call the function for this to work. Before we do this, let's quickly check what we're going to have in our browser this way. Can you see? So it is undefined, that it doesn't have okay. So now why is it not showing anything? Because we have not called this function. We have not called this function. So you need to call a function, as we have said before. So how do we call a function? By declaring what you want your a to be, the value for your a and the value for your b. So that is what I'm going to put inside these parameters now. Document.write. What do I want it to write? I want it to write my function. Then I can put in a value and then 6. So this way now, so it's going to do 5 plus 6, because that is what we want it to return. A plus b, 5 plus 6. Alright, so let's come here and then refresh. So can you see it shows us 11? So that is that on function declaration. So let's move to the next one. I'm going to be commenting this out now. So the next one, which is function expression. So let me remove the comments. Okay, so here we are going to express the function by first using a variable. So we define this function by using a variable. And what is the variable we are using now? We say let. Whenever you see let, you know that it's a variable. So let my function instead of this place. So here my function is a function name, but in this case my function here is a variable. Are you getting the difference now? So let's see what is going to happen here. So when you declare this let my function, that is a variable. It is after that you're going to declare your keyword function. After you declare the keyword function, then going to be followed. There is not like function name again, because you have declared a variable. So it's going to be followed by your parameters a and b. Then you open your code block and put this, the same thing with this. So now let's input the same value we put here, 5 and 6, and let's see if it's going to give us the same thing. 5 and 6. I want to be very fast so that if possible, so that we won't, the video will not be too long. So now let's come here and refresh. You see, it's the same thing. It is the same thing. So let's go to the, let me comment this out now, and let's face our arrow function. So that arrow function is what was provided 2015. What was provided 2015. So now let's talk about the arrow function. The arrow function now. So we have two ways for this arrow function. There is single line of code and there is multiple lines of code. Oh, I wrote code here instead of code. So single line of code and multiple lines of code. Let's first check this simple line of code. Okay, you see, okay, let me save this, then come here to refresh and see that there is nothing there again. Okay, you see. So now let's come back here. So during this time, as I've told you, the first two ways that I mentioned, that was the only ways in which you can define your function during the ES5. But now that we are in the era of ES6, we can now declare function without actually putting the keyword function. So just declare a variable. So we use this to shorten code so that the code will be more coherent. So we don't use the keyword function and we use the arrow symbol instead. This is the arrow symbol that works for function. Can you see it now? So this is the arrow keyword that actually works as function. It's as straightforward as, okay, this is my keyword, let my function then be equal to, immediately you open your parameters. In fact, if you are making use of just one parameter, let's say it's only one a that you need, you don't need to put them inside parentheses, the brackets, popularly known as bracket. You don't need to put them inside the bracket. You just write your parameter, then you declare this arrow which is equal to and greater than signs, then you tell us. So this is what is the return is actually working for. So simply you just put it here like this, a plus b, and that's all. Then you say document.write my function. So let me call the function now. Which number have we been using? 5, right? 5 and 6. Then let's come back here to refresh. Can you see now? It's 11. So this is very, very simple to call. Then another one that we have is the multiple lines of code. That is in case there are some things you need to write inside your code block. That is where that is. Oh no. So let's go to multiple lines of code. So for this multiple, if you are not adding any other thing, you don't need to stress yourself. This is still not strange, it's still the same thing. Then the arrow, after the arrow now, because you want to state some conditional statement, then you can declare your code block, which is your curly brace. Then you say if a is greater than b, return a is greater, else return b is greater. Then we're going to declare our a and b now. So what do we want a to be? 5. Then what should we want b to be? 6. So now let's save and come here to check. So it's going to print out sim b, so b is greater. So that is just that.